Welcome everybody. Today we'll be looking on adding integers with and without the use of the number line. So before we dive into that, let us first define the word integer. Now we know that integers are positive and negative numbers including 0. So all of those numbers that you can think about, or positive and negative, those are called integers. So we'll be adding those, and let's go with our first example. So we have 7 plus 2, so positive 7 plus positive 2. We want to add that. So the first number tells us where on the number line we'll start. So it's a positive 7, so we will begin at the positive 7. And the second number, so it's plus 2. So we know that when we are dealing with positive, we go to the right. When it's negative, we go to the left. So this is a plus 2. So that means that we're going to jump 1, 2 spaces to the right. Therefore, the answer is positive 9. Our second example is 1 plus 6. Now we'll begin at the 1, the positive 1. And it's plus 6, positive 6, so that means that we're going to move 6 times to the right. So when we jump 6 times, we end up at positive 7. Therefore, 1 plus 6 is equal to positive 7. We can therefore conclude that the sum of two positives will always give a positive. So a positive plus another positive is equal to a bigger positive. Let's now look at another case. So we have negative 5 plus negative 2. We know that the first term will tell us where on the number line we'll begin. So in this case, we have a negative 5, so we'll begin at the negative 5. So we'll start at negative 5. Now we realize now that we have two signs beside each other. You can put a bracket here so that we're not confused. So the first sign tells us which direction the man is looking in. So positive, we know that positive is to the right, and we know that negative is to the left. So because it's a positive, that means that he is facing the right. And the second sign tells us which direction the stick man will jump. Now if it is a positive, he will jump forward, and if it is a negative, he will jump backwards. Alright, so it's a negative 2, therefore he will jump 1, 2 spaces backward. Therefore, negative 5 plus negative 2 is equal to negative 7. So another example, we have negative 7 plus negative 3. So we'd begin at the negative 7. So the stick man would be at the negative 7. We said that the first sign will tell which direction he's looking. So it will be looking to the right or facing the right. And then the second sign tells us which direction he will jump and in how many times he will jump. There's a negative 3, so we'll jump 3 times backwards. So 1, 2, 3. So it lands at negative 10. Therefore, negative 7 plus negative 10 is equal to, therefore negative 7 plus negative 3 is equal to negative 10. So the rule states that the sum of two negatives will always give you a negative. So once you're adding two negatives, you will get a bigger negative, or the number will move further from the 0. The third case that we have is when we have a positive and a negative being added. So we have positive 5 plus negative 7. We'll start at the positive 5. We have two signs. So the first sign, the positive, tells us which direction. Will be facing the right, and the second sign is a negative, therefore he will be moving backwards. We'll be jumping backwards 7 times. So therefore 5, positive 5 plus negative 7 is equal to negative 2. We have negative 4 plus 5. So we'll begin at the negative 4, and because it is a positive 5, he will be jumping 5 spaces forward. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the answer is positive 1. Now this is the third case, and the rule states that to find the sum of a positive and a negative, subtract the absolute value and keep the sign of the larger integer. So we'll subtract the absolute value, and the absolute value is just a number without the sign. The 7 minus 5 give us 2, and the larger integer is a negative, so we know that the answer will keep the sign of the larger integer. Likewise, with the negative 4 plus 5, we know that the larger integer is the positive 5, so the answer is going to be positive, and we just subtract the absolute values. So 5 minus 4 give us 1. So that's two ways of working out these questions. Here are two more examples. So for number 1, we have 1 plus negative 4 plus 11. So we're going to work it in parts. So we're working these for the two first terms. So 1 plus negative 4, we have a positive and a negative being added. So we know that we will subtract the absolute values. So 1 minus 4 give us 3, and the answer will take the sign of the bigger integer. So the bigger integer is negative 4, so it will be negative 3. Bring back down the plus positive 11. So we have a negative and a positive being added. So the same procedure. So we subtract the absolute values. So 3 minus 11 give us 8. And the answer will take the sign of the bigger integer. So the bigger integer is positive 11. So the answer is positive 8. Now the second question that we have negative 3 plus 4 plus negative 5. So we're going to work it in parts again. So negative 3 plus 4, we have negative and a positive integer being added. So we are going to subtract the absolute values. So 3 minus 4 give us 1. The bigger integer is positive, so it is a positive 1. So this positive 1 is being added to a negative 5. So same procedure again. We subtract the absolute values. So 1 minus 5 give us 4. The bigger integer is negative 4. Therefore, the answer is negative 4. So let's just summarize. So if we are adding two positives, then we'll get a bigger positive. If we're adding two negatives, the sum will be a bigger negative. And if we're adding a negative and a positive, then the answer will take the sign of the bigger integer, and we subtract the absolute values. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.